Hi to everyone. The topic of our classes today is subclavian artery and its branches. The right subclavian artery arises from the brachiocephalic trunk on the level of the right sternoclavicular joint. The left one is a set branches of aortic arch. It passes through superior mediastinum and in the root of the neck it's located back of the left sternoclavicular joint. After that, together with brachial plexus, it goes through interscalene space, which formed by anterior and medial scalene muscle, and ends on the level of lateral margin of first rib, where it's continued to axillary artery. For descriptive purpose, the subclavian artery divided to the three parts. The first one lies medially from anterior scalene muscle. The second one located posteriorly from that muscle, and the third one located laterally from it. The first part of the subclavian artery gives rise to three branches: the vertebral artery, internal thoracic artery, and thyrocervical trunk. The vertebral artery goes along the longus colloid muscle till the sixth cervical vertebra, where it starts to pass through transverse processes foramens, all vertebrae except the seventh one. Then it's located in the groove of the vertebral artery, penetrates the posterior atlanto-occipital membrane, and through foramen magnum it's goes to the skull, where it's fused together on the level of lower margin of the pons and forms the basilar artery, which terminated to the posterior cerebral arteries. The cervical part of the vertebral artery supplies the muscle of the neck, the spinal cord and its meninges. Within the skull it supplies the brain, brainstem, and dura mater of posterior cranial fossa. First branches of vertebral artery is the posterior spinal arteries, which goes down along the spinal cord, along the posterior lateral groove of spinal cord, and supplies its posterior portion. Anterior spinal arteries, its unpaired artery along the anterior median fissure of spinal cord. It rises from the vertebral artery before it's terminated, and together with that part of artery, it forms the Harchenko circle on the base of the medulla oblongata. Spinal arteries, anterior and posterior one, they reinforces in the neck and the thorax and abdominal part by the segmental arteries of the neck, thoracic and abdominal aorta. Branches of basilar artery supply the pons by Pantenia arteries, cerebellum by superior cerebellar and anterior inferior cerebellar arteries. Also, it gives branches to the internal ear labyrinthine arteries. The third branches in first portion of subclavian artery is thyrocervical trunk. The trunk located medially from anterior scalene muscle. It has length approximately 4 cm and divided to the 3 or 4 branches. First one is inferior thyroid artery, which goes to the thyroid gland and anastomosis there with superior one. That artery also gives branches to the larynx, inferior laryngeal artery, which also anastomosis with superior laryngeal artery from the system of external carotid artery. Second branches of thyrocervical trunk, it's ascendens cervical artery. It goes along the scalene anterior muscle and supplies the deep muscle of the neck. Third branches from thyrocervical trunk is suprascapular artery. That artery goes dorsally to the scapular notch. There it goes under the transverse scapular ligament and on the dorsal surface of the scapula. It's anastomosis with circumflex scapular artery from system of axillary artery. The first branches in that cases is transverse cervicis artery. It goes to the trapezius muscle of the neck and supply it. Sometimes that artery can originate from thyroid-cervical trunk, but more often it goes from last portion of subclavian artery, and it's divided to the two branches, to the deep one, dorsal scapular artery, and superficial one. The next branches of subclavian artery locate inside of interscalene space. It's just one artery, it's costocervical trunk. That artery goes dorsally, and on the level of neck of first rib, it's divided to the two branches. First one rise up along the deep muscle of the neck and supply it. Else it gives branches to the vertebral foramens for reinforcing posterior spinal arteries. Second one go downward and give branches in the first and second intercostal space, where it's anastomosis with anterior intercostal arteries from system of internal thoracic artery. So the last portion of subclavian artery contains just one branches, same like previous one. The branches has name transverse cervicis artery, and it's divided to the two branches, superficial and deep one. The deep one has specific name, it's dorsal scapular artery. It goes dorsally through the brachial plexus bundles, and on the dorsal surface of the back, it goes along the medial margin of the scapula till the inferior angle of it. That artery supply muscle of the back and give branches to the muscle of the scapula. Superficial branches, in our cases, on our cadaver, originated from the thyrocervical trunk, goes to the trapezius muscle, it's a superficial muscle of the back, and supply it.